I mean, I think Eldoradimon should have gone to therapy and
Oh
come
boy.
to accept his home off of Cloud Continent.
Well, this is a good time to talk about our sponsor, BetterHelp.
Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move
Run,
on.
run, run, run. Welcome to Pottages, your friendly eight-legged dog bus companion to the 2020 Digimon Adventure reboot. This week we're discussing episode 61, A Place to Return to. I'm your host, Jeff Ruberg, and I'm excited to welcome back my boyfriend, Erik.
Hello.
It is 2:30 a.m. and we're going to an airport in like 3 hours. Jesus. So this is going to be a very quick lightning round of an episode. But in general, how have you been feeling about Adventure 2020 since you were last on for that Sora episode in episode 52?
I thought the last few episodes have been all right. It's nice to see the megas. I enjoyed Kreskurumon. I groan every time Taichi appears on the screen because I am now growing to hate him. Uh, but I thought most of the megas were nice. I'm confused as to why we're only getting outlines for Ophanimon and others, as we see by this episode. But besides that, it's been all right. I guess the only amazing episode or episode I extremely enjoyed was last week's with Joe. I thought that was a really good episode for Joe. To have some Joe and Mimi screen time.
So it was better than Rebellion episode.
The Rebellion episode was all right. It just seems out of place, to be honest. I don't even know what area of the digital world they were in.
Let's start this over. Let's cancel everything. Okay, no more platform for you.
The Izzy episode was also good. What else we got? The Kari episode, not that great. Rosemont was good. Gecko Hot Spring was awkward.
Okay, these takes aren't hard enough. We need to keep moving.
Okay.
Well, okay, let's hop on a giant moving turtle that keeps trying to hopelessly climb back to the continent that it fell off of with no explanation for episode 61, A Place to Return to, aka Eldoradimon Fall Down Mode Part 2, aka Red Bull Headedness Gives You Wings, aka Takeru Sisyphus Takaishi. And spoiler policy, like always, we'll be talking about everything included in the Crunchyroll episode, which includes the title and preview for next week, and anything in the original adventure or 02, but nothing beyond next week's episode and nothing from other Digimon seasons. So yeah, this week on Digimon Adventure : parentheses 2020 square bracket the Adventure of Taichi. Well, Erik, you wanted to do a little recap, right?
Yeah. I mean, we watched the episode again. I figure I'm equally qualified to recap it. So Eldoradimon and Takeru / Patamon run away from Taichi and his crests of fast travel as they try to climb a steep hill back to the Cloud Continent. A who's who of Digimon refugees waits for TK to give up because they live for the drama, while Leomon waits with a sword of Damocles hanging over his head. Taichi shows up and no one claps. Eventually, the background characters decide to become voice characters and stop staying around doing nothing, except emo Digimon Michael Jackson, who just keeps doing nothing until he's blown away by TK explaining the concept of hope. Gravimon finally lifts a finger to make the giant turtle float, Magno Holy Angemon gives him wings, and Eldoradimon lands on his home continent. TK's Digivice Crest alarm goes off, and Taichi starts to finally realize that it's not normal for compasses to point in a lot of random directions.
Well, I guess if a compass always points to true north, it is normal for a compass to point lots of random directions if you already are the center of the show, the center of the universe. Anyway,
They say a compass is always right 2 times a day.
So I recently went through harassment prevention training at my work, and one of the important tactics I learned was to interrupt when someone makes a sexist or inappropriate joke and ask, "Why is that funny?" So I repeat to you, Erik, why is that funny?
Because his compass is like a clock.
Okay, we really shouldn't be wasting time with it because we need to get to sleep for 5 minutes before we get on a plane. But yeah, I'm curious what your overall impressions were on this episode. For me, it was felt very light on actual content. It felt like it was a lot of the same thing for the entire episode, and then one great moment when the music is swelling, the insert song is playing, and Gravimon's finally participating, and Takeru does his dramatic fly, and the Seraphimon shadow appears. But that one moment was really well done, and everything else was just feel like it was padding for time. But what did you think?
I hated this episode except the last like 5 minutes of it. I thought everything before that 5 minutes, the first 20 minutes or so of it was an obvious plot line. Like, oh, we're just gonna keep doing this and keep doing it and keep doing it. And it's like obviously the only person who can help is the one who can control gravity and who's just floating. And it's
Yeah.
like, so we're just waiting for this person or this Digimon to turn around. It's like, just do it already. You can see them struggling. Like, just get it over with because nothing's happening. There's no fights happening. We don't get these like flashy scenes. So once Gravimon basically picks up TK and is like, what the wrong with you? You can't push this turtle up there. And, Angemon starts digivolving. I get to see Magna Angemon. I'm the fanboy in me's happy. And then we see Seraphimon's ghost for some reason. And some reason they're like shooting gravity powers out of their hands, which is very confusing.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if like yeah, it's the what actually happened there, like whether Gravimon like gave powers to Magna Angemon and Takeru, and then they passed that on, or like when I first my first thought was that Gravimon made him float, and then Magna Angemon gave him wings, and like those were totally separate things. But like looking back on it, it's like no, because like he like makes Magna Angemon and Takeru glow, and they like pass on that glow to Eldoradimon. So like I don't know if it's like a combination of their power, like their powers combined are able to make the giant angel wings. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Gravimon just like gave them like this aura, and then they were pushing their hands, thinking they were doing something. Gravimon's like, okay, I'll do this. You know what I mean? Like they're children, like, and Gravimon's a father or the parent like doing stuff, and the kids like or like steering the steering wheel, and the kids just like his hands are on it, and they're like, oh look, I'm driving. And it's like, no, you're not driving. Like
That's how
Gravimon's literally doing everything.
I was too poor to be given to actually like have money to play at arcades, so I would just endlessly play
The demo screen.
yeah, the demo. Like I thought I was playing the game, and I wasn't actually playing the game.
Yeah, but I enjoyed the episode once I got to see Magna Angemon.
Just
And
skip over my childhood trauma. Okay.
well, and but I enjoyed the last 5 parts of it, but the whole beginning of it, it just seems so predictable and not in a good way.
Yeah, like I was a little bit surprised by the fact that Gravimon was not what I expected. Not an antagonist. He was an antagonist in the sense that he did not want to help, and we knew he just needed help, and like we're waiting for him to help. But he wasn't a aggressive antagonist or like actually trying to fight them or anything, which is kind of refreshing change of pace.
Yeah, from
But
the preview, I thought there was going to be a fight. It's like, oh, they're gonna fight Gravimon.
yeah,
Maybe we'll see Seraphimon, and it's like, no, he's just standing there the whole time.
yeah, I kind of came to terms with it. Like it made sense that this would be the foreshadowing of Seraphimon, not the Seraphimon actual appearance, but it may have been because of the TV guide listings that mentioned a future episode title that
Yeah.
hinted at other things. But yeah, this episode also like all of the talk about home and where they're going to, like, okay, it's nice that they're talking about the fallout of Millenniumon, which is neat that they're actually following up on that, but like it's just like I feel like the talk of home falls flat given that we've seen so little of digital world societies. I remember we saw that city underwater, but aside from that, like we haven't seen cities that I can think of. So it's like I don't know. Like I don't know like what home really means to these characters. It's
Yeah.
just an abstract concept. But on the other hand, it's nice to see like like there's not like tons of exploration of it, but even just having Takeru say that he's inspired because he thinks of those memories of his family being together as home, like that is kind of a more explicit connection than I expected for this show, which I don't know. It's kind of the bar for character exploration is so far on the ground. But yeah, I mean, also Eldorado getting giant angel wings. This is a cool concept.
But he doesn't get to keep them, which is odd.
Oh
Like
wow,
he
yeah,
could he could have been the new Cloud Continent. Just missed opportunities.
I also don't understand cloud continent. Like I guess it stopped. Like for a while it was moving, and then when we were watching the episode, we were confused because I was thinking that there was just this like there happened to be a bridge that like the cloud continent had hit, and now there was like a connection point. But But you were saying that it like actually like fell down at one point. I don't remember that happening.
I when I rewatch or skim through to get ready to record this, from the first scenes, it looks like it's just like jagged points that like have crashed into it. So that's what they're walking on. But it's still like semi floating, but it's not obviously as high as it was.
Yeah, I just this it's so weird to have this whole episode focused on this scenario and to still be confused by the layout of what's actually happening and how they're getting up the cloud con. And also, it kind of really pissed me off that like we see them pushing for so long and like it feels like it feels like we observe maybe three footsteps and telling that they're at the top. And it's like, what? This would be like, there'd be so many footsteps. And it didn't feel like we were skipping over. It didn't feel like it was, like, etc., like skipping over, like, time or whatever. It was like, I feel like we saw them pushing constantly. And like, then they're at the top. And it's like, I don't think so. But I mean, obviously you have to yada yada over it for time, but I don't think they yada yada over it very well.
Yeah, it just feels weird for like an episode that's 5 or so episodes from the end of the series supposedly, and it just feels like weird padding.
Yeah, yeah, but it was a good showcase of lots of random Digimon.
Yeah.
The Digimon stood out to me, which I thought was the first time they appeared, was the cute little bees, which are apparently Puroromon. But apparently they weren't new for this episode. They were in they were some of the Digimon that were trapped in the theme park that Takeru saved. So I don't. Actually, I'm not sure about all the Digimon featured in this episode, but I was surprised looking through the crowd shots how many of them had been in previous episodes, and it's really just like gathering them all together. Like they actually cared about all those characters that had been introduced. It's kind of a neat thing. I'm really glad that I'm not doing the good, the bad, the digi format videos that I've been doing for a couple weeks ago, because
Because they're all so cute.
no, listing out every Digimon that appeared in this episode, like I can't even. That seems like a Herculean task. That seems like a Sisyphean task to be listing every Digimon that appeared in this episode. But yeah, there are also a surprising number of recolored Digimon, like Shamanmon, the recolor of Goblimon, Weedmon, the recolor of Vegemon,
Hmm.
Meteormon of Gotsumon, and Penmon is apparently the name of the blue Muchamon. The Muchamon is like I already find it hard to remember Muchamon, who is the that bird that was in the forest with the eggs. But there was a blue version, which is Penmon. But I have a question for you, since I'm colorblind.
Okay.
The Digimon that is the first to be the one like that helps Takeru, who he does the fist thing, the Arthur fist
Uh-huh.
meme.
Elecmon.
So okay, that is Elecmon.
Yeah.
Because I was watching it this time and I was like, this shade of red looks a little bit different than I remember. And I was like, is this secretly like burgundy Elecmon? I don't see the difference.
No,
Okay,
it's the same one.
okay, it's
Also,
still
did
Elecmon.
you mention the Weedle Digimon?
Oh no, I don't remember that
Yeah.
guy's name.
It's like a green version of the white, like electric beetle.
That's already like what's his? Is it Kunamon?
Something like that, yeah.
No, no.
Kunmon. Kunemon?
Kunemon.
Yeah.
Kunemon.
And then there's a green version.
This is on the one hand, it's kind of neat they have these three colors, but it's also like it's almost like it's too deep into Digimon lore for me to care at this point.
Dokunemon.
Oh, it's
So you
okay.
just
It's
add do in front of it,
interesting.
and it turns green.
It's probably because it's dough, as in poison,
Oh, I see.
like poison Kunemon. Well, yeah. So I don't know. It was cute. Did you notice the Jamogamon with a mustache?
I did not.
It's in like I think it's just in like one shot, but apparently I thought this was just like a cute flourish an animator added, but it's apparently canonically a Digimon called Nisei Jamogamon, which Nisei means fake. So it's
Oh.
it's such a weird random thing for them to include.
Are his like whiskers, his Jumonjumon's whiskers normally look like just like squiggles, but if he tries to like run his fingers through his whiskers, is that what turns him into Nisei because they look like swirls after?
Yeah, that would be a great evolution sequence actually.
Yeah, he just
Just
like swirls his whiskers.
yeah. Well, one thing that we thought was funny when we were watching the moment when Monzemon appears and starts to push,
Oh yeah.
and they later pull back so you can see that he is actually pushing, but like when he first started pushing, we both were like, what the hell's going on? Because it looks like he's on top of on top of Eldorado.
Right. It looks like he's at the castle part, like the
Yeah.
tip part. It's like, That you're just adding weight to this. You're weighing him down.
I honestly thought that it was like this is doing nothing, but they don't want to say it to him. So like I guess just pretend like it's okay, pretend like it's helping the cause.
It's the real Monzimon.
But when they later show like a different shot, a different angle, you can see that he's actually standing on the ground. It's just I guess the Monzimon is just tall enough that when he's pushing, it looked like he was on top of Eldraimon before.
Yeah, I do like the headcanon of Monzimon, like when Takeru's like, "Oh, it's the real Monzimon, like the one the statue is of." So it's like Monzimon's like a celebrity in the digital world. He is the Walt Disney
Oh boy.
and Mickey of the digital world, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe Monzimon's here helping us push this fat ass turtle up this hill."
I mean, they already had a Mickey, and that the villain of that episode in the theme park was a mouse
Oh,
Digimon.
right.
Well, I thought that was silly because it's like there was no like, oh, it's the real Monzimon, but the real Monzimon wasn't displaced. Like there was a statue of Monzimon, but like there wasn't a the idea that like the statue was based on a real Monzimon that was also off-screen displaced, and oh, here he is. I don't know. It seemed kind of silly, but yeah, I don't know. This was an episode. Let's move on to 3 reviews since we are in a fast lightning round of an episode. So CC Takado said, "Not enough Leomon."
I agree. He was there and then he was not there, basically.
Yeah.
Green Ranger Dawn said, Leomon continues living.
Megadramon22 said, "Takeru, a cutie."
Agreed. Gigadramon 22 said, Gravimon, so emo.
Bored Individual said, "Danger prone Eldoradimon strikes."
Joseph Snowsif said, Iridescent Turtle Wings.
Andy Lucas OE said, "Where is Bearmon?" Was Bearmon? I only recall Bearmon being at the like with Namon at the like when they were like refugees from Devamon and they
Right.
mentioned Leomon, but I don't think we saw them in the Millenniumon saga, like off of Cloud Continent, right?
I think the character like joins Leomon's group. So I guess, yeah, we haven't seen them since.
Oh wait, was Bearmon with Leomon when they were like riding around on the I almost said Chocobo. I guess I mean Pekmon.
No, it's the one.
Oh,
Oh,
it's the Spadamon, the one from the game.
is that the one that looks like he has like shields and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, or like a knight. Yeah, so that one was looking for homes for the refugees. I didn't see anyone else on the back, but I mean,
Okay.
Bearmon's also a refugee, so I'm sure he's hanging out. CRR McRae says size may vary.
And in a podcast said Road Eldoradimon, which I hold on, let me fact check this. I think was an episode, a title of a podcast episode from Data Squad, or maybe it was one that hadn't been released yet. Oh,
Spoilers.
yeah, I think that might be one of the ones that was recorded and not actually released. Oops, sorry for teasing. That thing doesn't exist yet for people. Well, that'll come out someday. But yeah, let's move on to listener comments and questions. First off, from Joseph Snosif. I felt like the Seraphimon aura was unearned until we saw the Turtle Castle sprout angel wings, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's a dope power. And I wanted to read this comment because I totally agree. I was like, this seems like a silly thing for Takeru to be like so dramatic about. Like, come on, stop being so dramatic about it. And then, especially because it was like Gravimon's powers, and it's like you're just being a cheerleader for Gravimon's power. But then once there were wings involved, I was like, that's cool. Angel wings are cool.
Yeah, it was like, why are you screaming so much, kids? It's not that serious, but it looked cool.
Yeah. CZ Ducato asked, why does Leomon randomly keep showing up, but he's not being given any particular character arc in this show? And I think that is just how the cookie crumbles for this show. Like, he's there because he's a fan favorite, and all the old school fans are going to recognize him and scream when he appears. But for the new fans, like, they're not interested in giving, like, long-term emotional character arcs to characters. I don't know. So like it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't feel like what they're giving to Leomon is particularly out of place for the show. It feels like the kind of arc they give to characters in the show. Like even Lopmon was like introduced with much more fanfare, and now it's kind of like, yeah, Lopmon's around just finding homes for refugees, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's just there, so everyone's like, "Oh, is he gonna die this episode?" Oh no, he went and hid out danger.
Yeah, I think we'll get to more questions about that. But Megagerman22 said, Tai spent 22 seconds with Joe Mimi last week, and now he appeared next to Takeru. Has Agumon been releasing clones of Taichi and Agumon into the wild in an attempt to recreate Machinimon? If the compi aren't compasses, then what are they? And I can't tell this is a joking attempt to pluralize compass as compi because that's not how that works in Latin. But anyway, if the compi aren't compasses, then what are they? Clocks, stopwatches? I guess a go here to experience character development compass doesn't make much sense unless they're based on Jack Sparrow's compass. They lead you to what your heart wants most. I wanted to bring this up because I think what I realized at the end of the episode, well, I don't. It was weird to because I was frustrated once it became obvious that the compasses weren't pointing to physical locations. I found that frustrating because I feel like pointing to physical locations is something that could have a plausible in-universe explanation. Like it could be like data points on a map that this is where something physically happened and this is where like you need to go recover an artifact. Once it became clear that they were not pointing to that and it was just pointing to like where you were going to experience an emotional catharsis, I was like, that seems so contrived. It seems more like prophecy kind of stuff, like predicting events, and that feels kind of silly to me. So when Taichi in this episode was like, "Oh, it's not pointing to locations," I was like, oh, "Great, just well." But I think I realized. I'm guessing what he's got to realize is that it's pointing to people that need to be helped, or Digimon that need to be helped.
I think there's also a few episodes or a few crests ago, I thought that I think it was up until the Matt episodes that they were pointing to places in the past where they had displayed the attribute that is their crest, and I guess this could still work because, with exception for like Sora and Matt, because Joe takes him to the spa or the onsen. Mimi's takes her to the village, what is now a school.
I don't think Joe's actually took him to the spa, to the
Well, where
onsen.
does Joe's point him to then?
Like they were just going to the onsen because they were going to the onsen, and then
Okay, well,
actually I don't know if we ever saw Joe in particular. Maybe when they left the onsen and they were just wandering through the ice, maybe that was him following
I
the
still want to know
crest.
what happened with the onsen. Also, what
Oh,
happened?
I
Um,
don't know.
but TK is pointing to Eldoradimon. Mimi's is pointing to the location of the village she rolled over that's now a school.
Hmm.
Matt doesn't work unless he was in that forest before. Joe, we were talking about. Sora doesn't work. So I guess that's only for a few of them. Izzy takes him to the cavern where Galbaterimon digivolves for the first time. So some of them it works, but I just don't know what these companies are pointing to. It's just
Um,
go there, kid. Don't ask questions.
something a pattern I realized about the Izzy episode I didn't realize during that week was that the physical location they're at is supposed to be those not caves but the trenches or whatever
Mm-hmm.
the where Adler Kabutoimon first appeared,
Mm-hmm.
and then Nanamon brings in Waymon, which is who Izzy Kosher was dealing with when Kabutoimon first appeared. So it's kind of like
Oh,
all three of Kosher's evolutions kind of converged on this one point in an interesting way.
right.
But I don't know if it has any meaning. But yeah, I think it's just going to be they were they were pointing you to a Digimon that needed your help, and then for Taichi it's like, and all these people need your help. It's gonna frustrate me even more.
Yeah.
But anyway, Gigajimon22 said, "While I enjoy the low stakes, innocent appeal of Takeru truly using his hope to help Aldoradimon, I really dislike how the series has used the angelic Digimon. They just don't feel as important anymore except for the holy dragons. Also, what about the other holy Digimon? Do Angemon and Angelmon, now that they have their memories, care that they've been turned to statues? Care that the other holy Digimon have been turned to statues? I know it's kind of a deus ex machina to just evolve an angel in a big fight in the original, but they always felt like a big moment. This feels way too easily accessible." Yeah, I don't particularly I don't share the same frustration with them being easily accessible because I think it's cool to actually see them some more. Like yeah, I agree it was fun and exciting when they would be so rare in the original. Like Eric was recently rewatching Adventure Zero Two, and like the episode where Magnet Angemon appeared in that, and it's like this is like the second time he appears in the whole series, whatever. Like it second or third,
Right.
like it's a big deal. That was
Right.
exciting, but
I do like that they appear more though, but it does seem
yeah.
like they've lost like their importance. Like now they're not dragons. It's like, well, I guess you're here.
Well, yeah, in terms of like the importance, I don't mind that so much. What I do mind is the point that this question brought up, which is like the connection to the rest of the holy Digimon they were supposed to have. And yeah. Or like, yeah, the fact that they're supposed to have some connection to Lotmon, and like has anyone even talked about the fact that
Has Garamon even talked to Lotmon yet? I feel like they would have a lot to talk about. Like they're the two with memories.
I thought now I'm unclear because I thought Patamon got some of his memories back in that Devimon reflection episode, like once he realized Devimon was there inside of him.
I don't recall that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he actually got all his memories back or just he remembered Devimon. So
I
yeah,
feel like he remembered, like, because we saw him, like, go through, like, Digimon from Seraphimon and then, like, turn dark as he's, like, captured by Devimon, but I don't remember, like, memories beyond that.
yeah, and I'm not sure. Like that may have been a leap that I'm making, but anyway, yeah, at least Lopmon and Tailmon are supposed to remember things, and yeah, it's just like I guess I'm also thinking that like there was a post I saw on the Digimon subreddit recently that was a screenshot of that initial lore dump episode where we see the holy Digimon statues.
Yeah.
And like the post was like complaining that like remember when we saw this and thought that the series was going to really go deep in this Digimon world lore, and it's I think the post was phrased a little inflammatory, like they promised it, and it's like I don't think they promised it, but like it definitely did seem. Looking back, I see how I like picked up on the wrong threads and hoped it would be something it wasn't. It did feel like it was trying to be a different show back then. It felt like it seemed like there was all this potential for it to be like a show that really had history, or like a digital world that had history behind it, and instead the history is like very thin.
Yeah, the beginning episodes seem weird. Like even when the most of the group is together and they like go to that abandoned town and are like, "Oh, this is where the holy Digimon was," but they moved them, and it's like,
Wait,
why was
what
Anjumon?
town?
Yeah, right after the Gabumon episode, when Gabumon Digivolves for the first time, and they're
Oh,
looking for the holy
it
Digimon.
wasn't a town; it was a fortress.
But why was Angemon at the fortress? Is what I'm saying. Because they're like, oh,
Why
this
was
is where he was held. And it's like, why was he held here? They have like the text. It's like, oh, he was here, but he was moved or something like that.
Oh, I guess I don't remember that. I just remember
I'm fairly certain.
they were seeking the Holy Digimon, and there was some information on where the Holy Digimon was at the fortress. I guess I missed the detail that he had been there and was moved. I don't think they're. I don't know. I mean, who knows what Devimon was doing, and
The point is that the beginning episodes don't make sense now, looking back.
I don't know if that. I don't know. I feel like that's not hard to square with what we've seen, but
We'll see on the rewatch. We'll see.
oh no, no, don't curse me with that. One revelation I had in thinking of this episode and how it was like it felt like this episode was like a prime example of an episode that goes one ear and out the other ear, and I'm gonna forget it for the most part. But it had one really well done moment that was really cool, and I really love that one moment. That experience feels like the opposite of Try to me, and I know we have we have very divergent opinions on Try, but like I feel like Try was full of interesting ideas and then tripped and fumbled on the actual execution on most of those ideas. And aside from a couple key moments, didn't really have great like amazing scenes. So like whereas this show is like no interesting ideas almost. Well, I don't know. No like ambitious daring ideas. It's all kind of safe kind of stuff. But it's occasionally does the execution so well that it doesn't really matter that it's a not much of an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Andy Lucas we asked, will this Leomon survive the series? What will be the implications for the franchise if this Leomon does survive the whole series? It would fundamentally change the world as we know it. And this made me realize that, like, so there's so much talk about Leomon appears in the preview. We're at the end of the series, and it's like, oh my god, what's going to happen to Leomon? Oh my god. I just find speculation. I don't know. Like, this doesn't feel like the kind of show that would kill off a character like this. Especially, like, it seemed especially weird to do in a Takeru focused episode. But the thing that weirds me out about like discussion about Leomon dying or not is that like a lot of the things that the fandom has solidified, I was like, oh my god, these prime examples of him dying are just like Mad Leomon and Fusion or Cross Wars is like it's just a random mob enemy. Like they do that with any other Digimon they've encountered at that point in the series. Like it's not special that it's a Leomon that died, like Koichi counting because he has a form that has Leomon in its name. Like I don't know, it's kind of a big stretch. Like he doesn't actually die, like and I feel like there are a lot of stretches already. But I guess it's kind of by some measure, it's true that a Leomon I don't think has ever survived to the end of the series.
I think Leomon was sacrificed himself in one of the final episodes during the final big battle.
Could work. That does make sense. Like if you want to establish stakes. I just don't know if I don't know.
What if during this episode there was like a deleted scene where Elder Rodamon like falls backwards, and in one of his stumbles, he lands on top of Leomon.
Oh boy. I was thinking, like, in the back of my head wondering, like, is this how he's gonna die? Just getting stepped on by a Throttymon? That would be silly.
Yeah.
I also, I don't know, the other thing about, like, Leomon's death being such a meme in the fandom, like, it really removes a lot of the dramatic weight from the moments that do that well and don't, like, were before there was a whole meme around it. I don't know. I also, like, I don't know, it's like it's the most basic Digimon joke you can make. It's like, Leomon appeared. Oh, he's gonna die. And it's like, okay. I mean, it's not like I want to see something fun and original with that. Like, and I feel like the way everyone talks about it is not fun and original. But anyway, let's get into our closing thoughts. How'd you rate this episode?
I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it could do a lot better for being like one of the last episodes of the series. Too much padding.
Yeah, I think ironically, with a very light episode, I think I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars because like I consider like 3 to be middle of the road average, and this was overall like just a little too empty. And also the idea of, like, I feel like I've been generally impressed by the way this show has talked about hope. I feel like it has introduced interesting ways of reframing what hope means. And in this episode, hope means never giving up, which is also what courage means. And like, or at least the like, I don't know, this idea of never giving up is not, it's the same way that Taichi has acted the whole series. Like, it doesn't feel like I don't like it as a way of exploring hope. And also, I think it is,
I think courage and hope are 2 different things, though.
I know they are, but I'm saying the way they're using it here
They're
is
using like they're in a hopeless situation, and he's not giving up. Whereas courage is like is more of the ability to go into action, to not be too afraid.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's,
I agree that that is a better definition of courage. I guess this is a fitting use of hope. I guess more what I'm complaining about is that they have deployed Taichi in this area before. That like the Metal Tyrannomon debut and Taichi just like never giving up and he keeps attacking with Greymon and then eventually unlocks Metal Greymon. Like that is also a textbook hopeless situation. He just keeps trying and eventually succeeds. So it's more like I feel like they've already done it. They've already redefined courage to mean this. Well, I don't know. They didn't explicitly redefine courage, but you know what I mean. Like
right.
it feels like they already gave this territory to Taichi, so to then be like, oh, and it's also Takeru.
I mean,
I
he's
don't
more
know.
inspirational. It's not just like never giving up. It's like he's inspiring other people to do stuff.
That's true. Like he does rally the troops and like get them to participate and stuff. So like
Yeah.
that, yeah, it has that angle from the amusement park episode. So yeah, that's true. I don't know. I guess I find it frustrating because when you think about this episode as a metaphor for things that pertain to real life situations that we as humans face on a day-to-day basis, this is not a good lesson to learn. Like if you are faced with a Herculean task that's impossible and hopeless, the healthy thing is not often to just keep doing it until it works. Like it's a healthy thing to take a step back and rethink your priorities and figure out a new solution instead of just continuing to bullheadedly keep going against it. So I guess I disagree with the whole approach and strategy. But I mean, I think Eldoradimon should have gone to therapy and
Oh
come
boy.
to accept his home
Hmm.
off of Cloud Continent.
Well, this is a good time to talk about our sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp.
Well, my MVP, I think my MVP is Elekmon doing the Arthur
God,
meme.
I was gonna do that.
Okay, well, okay, if you're claiming that,
Y-
um,
Yeah, I'm gonna Electmon's clenched Arthur fist.
I I I think that's gonna be Mine's gonna be Takeru, but not Takeru like as a character, but just Takeru in that dramatic moment where he's summoning the shadow of Srafimon.
It was, and I always keep saying shadow. It was a bright outline, the
I,
exact opposite of a shadow.
okay, I mean the placeholder, the silhouette.
It was okay. It was a light. He had a light bright, and he punched out the holes for the shape of Seraphimon.
Okay. Takeru being dramatic. Well, okay, next episode is episode 62, The Tears of Shakuamon, or The Tears of Shakuamon. No, it's definitely tears. I think pretty sure the Japanese is unambiguous about tears. That was a bit of a Mythic Quest joke out there for all you questy besties who watch Mythic Quest. Anyway,
Oh boy.
so for people who don't understand the reference, including you, Eric, in Mythic Quest, there's an author who writes a book that is titled like that, some silly fantasy name like the Tears of the Anaren or something, and he keeps insisting it's the Tears, not the Tears. But then anyway, will Sora and Piamon be able to calm the guardian deity Shakuamon?
Probably.
Probably. I,
Yeah.
yeah, especially this felt especially I don't know, after all the talk about like, oh, will partner Digimon appearing in completely unpartner like contexts. This is interesting and strange. It's kind of cool to see Shakuamon in its like actual historical context, that it's based on these these clay doll things. And there's gonna be some connection to that in this version of it. It's weird that it's a Sora episode. I don't know.
I mean, it's nice that they're giving Sora more screen time, but I'm not sure if she needed a whole episode, or they could have put an episode that has more to do with the overall story and given her more focus there instead of the side story when she's already had her, her crest activated. She's
Well,
already achieved her
well,
mega.
I mean, okay, she had her mega. We didn't see her crest activate. I had assumed it happened off screen, but I think the fact this episode exists means that it probably did not happen off screen and will happen in this episode. So I think it's kind of cool actually that like the well, I'm gonna be frustrated if they don't give a satisfying explanation for why these things are, how these things fit together. But like, I think it's kind of cool how the structure of the episode has been so all over the place. Like, we got Sword Evolution early on. Like, some people have had focus episodes before their evolution. Some people have had them after their evolution. Some have had, I don't know. It's interesting. It's kind of showing that like every person has a different journey, which I think is kind of cool. And the way that like in the first stretch of the show where everyone was getting ultimate evolutions in the basically the predictable order, and it was like very it's just kind of weird to see like all the characters fall into line in exactly in such like uniform fashion. It feels kind of like I think I kind of remember in Frontier, an episode early on where JP or Junpei is the last to get a spirit, and it's kind of like he's kind of like, well, I'm gonna get one, right? I don't know. Like I kind of like this idea that it's like, bizarre enough structure that it is not clear what's going on, but I want them to actually explain why it's what it means. Well, I don't know.
I feel like they could have activated her crest and just done away with this whole thing, so we wouldn't have this issue
I,
or
I
this
think
conundrum.
I think what I just realized is that like we have this assumption from the original show. In the original show, activating a crest and ultimate evolution were very explicitly tied, right? And I think in this new show, what it might just be that would explain everything is just they're not linked. Mega evolution happens when have when your Digimon's ready and it happens, but it's not explicitly tied to the crest activating.
It's just padding, more padding. You make it, you're making one episode, but you'll get your crest in another.
I don't think it's fair to call it padding because if it's good character focus, that's what we come to the show for. But yeah. So I think maybe I'll be more accepting of things if I just think of it as like mega doesn't happen when they like obviously they're gonna wink and nod and like Taichi does courageous and then a new form appears, but like not like it relies completely on the crest. But anyway, I think we will skip over recommendations for this week since we are on a tight deadline. I need to go to sleep.
My recommendation is going to sleep on time.
Well, I guess that brings us to the end of the show. This episode of Padages was brought to you by Gravimon Moving Co. When you need to transport your precious cargo into the sky after you were thrown off a continent 36 episodes ago with no explanation, there's only one service you can call. Note, Gravimon Moving Co. provides their services free of charge, but may require grand gestures of perseverance to shake off emo movers who just can't be motivated to do their job. Last week's Digiprompt was in honor of Olegmon's reign as pirate/shogun. What would be your ideal Digimon pirate crew? And I love this idea from NNM Podcast, which was Captain Hookmon, Petermon, Tinkermon, which it's still just find it absurd that those are all actual Digimon. I'm gonna fact check Captain Hookmon. That one sounds the most fake. And I've seen Tinkermon and Petermon in the card games. I at least know they're real. Is Captain Hookmon real? No, he's not. Okay. Okay.
Who is Petermon? Is this the guy? Oh, it is like Peter Pan.
I mean, no, Captain Hookmon is real. Damn it. What is I mean, okay. At least Captain Hookmon has a giant hook. That's kind of cool. But yeah. Okay, but in addition to Captain Hookmon, Petermon, and Tinkermon, also Submarimon, and of course Numamon as sailors. I love the idea of like a bunch of Numamon just entering the Peter Pan story.
Yeah.
It'd be great. Great power crew. This week's Digiprompt is what existing Digimon design would look best with angel wings added? Send any feedback to podages@digimon.com, to @podages on Twitter, or in the episode comments on podages.com. Check out the show notes to find a link to join our Discord server and share the podcast with your friends who refuse to stop supporting you even when you insist on doing impossible things. But also share it with your friends who will give you a healthy reality check and remind you that sometimes giving up on things is the healthier option. If this is your first episode, you can also find us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever else you find podcasts. Erik, thank you so much for, I don't want to say coming on the show, but really thank you so much for staying up until 3:30 a.m.
Thanks for keeping me up.
Yay. Where do you want to point people to find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at LeoUntweeted, where I will occasionally tweet some jokes out.
And then repeatedly ask me why I haven't liked the joke yet.
Well, it's a valid question, and it still stands.
Well, my Twitter account, where I will not always be liking Eric's jokes, is Japanese Jeff. And my general anime podcast is Love It or Weep It. Thank you everyone for listening, and I'll be back next week to talk about episode 62, The Tears of Shakuman. Bye!
Bye!
And remember, never stop digivolving.
共に走り抜けるから迷わない道はまっすぐ Run with you 夢は覚めない終わらない諦めない叶えて歩んで Cause we are dreams come true 叶える I'm a dreamer, I'm a dreamer, I'm a dreamer.
Okay, here's now where we have like some like funny, witty banter that we can use for like after the show. Let's talk about something controversial. Try sucked. What's your retort?
It didn't. I don't know what you want from me. It's 3:30 in the morning. I'm tired. I need to finish packing.
Okay, I need to finish. I need to start packing. Let's go. Bye.